opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program host and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by TCN TV Network Incorporated. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. The TCN TV Network claims no rights to the said content. TCN TV Network cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. TCN TV Network is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this program.
Welcome, good evening. This is On Point. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday evening. Thursday, September 10th. We are 41 days away from the next general election when we elect our new members of parliament and decide which government will lead us for the next 4 years. Coming up on the program, we have the current member of parliament for Brampton North, Miss Rudy Sahota, who will join us. She's also seeking re-election, being challenged by one Mr. Arpan Connor and one Miss Melissa Edwards. We will hear from her shortly in the second segment. This evening we have joining us again, returning Miss Tina Larson. Always good to have you, and Mr. Len Carby.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
So before we get to the 43rd general election, there are some other Brampton issues we want to spend some time and to focus on. You might have heard some of these issues, but we want to put them into perspective for you so you can be properly informed. The first one we want to take a look at, Len Carby, if you want to start us off there. The Integrity Commissioner for the city of Brampton is right now investigating all 11 members of the Brampton City Council. This as a result of a complaint that was filed by a Brampton resident. Now, the Brampton resident's complaint is that the city awarded a contract to an organization, Brampton Focus, and he's alleging that it has connections to at least 2 of the current sitting councillors. And therefore, the Integrity Commissioner is currently looking into this situation. Previously, we have not made a statement on it. We have not examined it, primarily because we're awaiting the Integrity Commissioner's report. But that's taken a little while to come out, and therefore we think that it's important that we at least give you some background on this issue. Now, one member of council, Mr. Paul Vicente, is one of the founding members of this organization, Len. You know, to be fair to him, prior to winning the election, he had sent out a public statement that he was resigning from the board of Brampton Focus. What I now understand is that Brampton Focus is indicating that there was a clerical error and that his resignation letter was not followed through on. So as recently as October of July 30th of this year, this city councillor was still registered as a board member or as a director on the corporate profile for Brampton Focus. Mm-hmm. Does this spell trouble for this councillor?
It may, but we didn't comment on it before because we didn't have all the facts.
Yes.
And that's exactly what the job of the Integrity Commissioner is, to find out those facts and let us be aware of what they are. Now, what I want to say that I think it's fair ground to have a conversation about it and to have a discussion in the public domain around this, so that people are at least aware that this thing is happening. However, I am very cautious to jump to conclusions before having all the information. I think that there's clearly some questions when I read what I have, kind of observed in the press so far on the matter. I think there are some unanswered questions there, and I'm watching very carefully the outcome of the Integrity Commissioner's report just to see what really transpired there.
Okay. Tina, a lot of people in Brampton, we have had issues or concerns about previous councils and how they conduct themselves. As a Brampton resident, your feedback on this particular issue?
Yeah, I'm actually, I know Brampton Focus very well, and then they were predominantly out there, so I don't think it's a surprise to anybody to find out that Paul was involved with Brampton Focus. I don't think that's what the issue is. I think that the concern for all the other media issues out there is, or the media houses out there, is that they want to be able to also get awarded some money. It's too bad the Brampton Focus didn't get this awarded prior to the election. Would have probably been a lot better for them. I don't think there would have been a question of integrity at that point. I think it's the award of the contract that's awarded by the city right now because of their connections to the councillors and the particular one council. But to me, I don't see it as like no one knew it was top secret, because it wasn't. It wasn't secret. Like, I don't think he ever kept it a secret that he was part of them.
Yes, and the truth is we're all going to be involved in some kind of community activism prior to being elected.
There are a few things here though, Len. Sorry to jump in there. There are a few things here though. Where does his responsibility stop? Let's say, for example, he, from what we have seen publicly, and I've asked him to come on to this program, and he has indicated that he wants to await the Integrity Commissioner's report before making another public statement on the issue. But where does one's responsibility stop? If you're a member of a particular board, for example, and you submitted your resignation to the board, where does your responsibility stop? Do you have a responsibility to follow through to make sure that you are actually removed from the board? And if so, for example, what has been reported is that the councillor had approached the Integrity Commissioner to say, hey, would I be in conformity here if I participate in this discussion? And what has been reported is that he got an all clear from the Integrity Commissioner. Now, did the Integrity Commissioner check the records before giving that all clear? That looks a bit challenging here.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole point. We so many more unanswered questions, right, as this goes on. But on the question of responsibility, it might not just be a question of responsibility, but also one of wisdom, all right? Because if you have submitted your application, it's smart. It's wisdom, your resignation. It is smart to ensure that process is complete, especially because you're stepping into the public domain as a representative on council.
Yeah, and I want to add also on the vote, for himself, he should have recused himself for that vote. He could have done that on his own behalf, and I think everybody would have really respected that because of his personal attachment to this company, media house.
Well, as time runs out on this as well, I mean, the council does have provisions where they can make sole source contracts, right? That provision is on council, so I want to put that out. But the question is, a network like TCN that distributes 20,000 copies of newspapers every 2 weeks, why wouldn't they have a chance to probably provide, communication services to the city? That's a matter to look at as well.
Well, the bigger matter around procurement and getting contracts with the city is on the table for this discussion, right?
Absolutely.
Because the sole source idea, it discriminates against other media houses that could have been approached or could have been involved in this bid if they didn't take that route.
The time is running out and we only have 2 minutes left in this segment.
Yes.
I want to take a quick look at something else. 2 years ago, there's an article that came out 2 years ago. Recently, City Council was at the AMO meeting, that's the Association of Ontario Municipalities, and we went there, according to Brampton, to press for our fair share of provincial resources. Now, 2 years ago, there was an article where one of the current councillors, when he went to AMO, he came back to say, listen, I was appalled because my fellow councillors weren't prepared properly for this meeting. Now, I've had the chance to look at some pictures that came out of AMO, and because we have been so busy covering the election, we haven't had a chance to look at them. Let's look at some of these pictures and give me a quick feedback whether, if you as a person were going to a meeting. Look at this picture, for example. We have councillors showing up to sit down with officials from the province, empty-handed. Some have a coffee cup. When you walk into a meeting, Tina, as a businesswoman, how do you present yourself if you want to be taken seriously?
And okay, so this is a great picture because to me, my team would be the ones with the laptops presenting to the hopefully buying team. Obviously here, this is not the case. It's opposite, which worries me because the pitching team is City of Brampton, and if they're pitching, they need to do a much better job to visually to look like they're doing a much better job pitching. Now, having said that, there is a good possibility they have, either done electronic files already on their presentations or they've memorized them. I mean, you can pitch many different ways. So I don't want to scold them on this, but I do think that the pictures don't look great. How about that?
Len Carby?
Well, a picture says a thousand words, as the old adage is. And this picture does not present a very promising picture of what happened in the OMA. However, I also want to say it should raise more questions than us drawing conclusions.
Okay.
Because pictures can't tell the full story of what transpired there.
Okay.
If, however, we should find out that nothing much came out of the discussions there, then I think the pictures will give us some reasons why nothing came out of it.
So let's use this opportunity to invite members of council, Mr. Mayor, to come on very soon to kind of give us an update as to what happened at AMO and what are the tangible results. Yeah. Because, these pictures are leaving us a question about how prepared the team was going in. This is the end of the first segment, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us. When we come back, Miss Ruby Sahota, the current member of Parliament for Brampton North, and the lady who is seeking a second term will join us. This is On Point. Stay with us.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
With so many newspapers within the community, it's sometimes hard to tell what separates us from the rest. Most of the time, they all brag about the same thing. The large circulations, tons of online views, and it can go on and on. But what really separates the Toronto Caribbean newspaper apart from everybody else? Well, it's simple. Our service. No, seriously. Hi, I'm Grant Browning, founder and CEO of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I have over 20 years of branding and marketing experience, and I've worked with countless companies and corporations to do one thing, and that is to raise their profits with their brand. With over 40 years of combined experience in branding and marketing, our amazing staff is fully prepared to sit down and figure out exactly what you need to stand out from your competitors.
The reason why you don't see that anymore is because
the ad is too powerful, bring too much people.
So what are you waiting for? Give us a call today. We'll be happy to help.
Welcome back to On Point on this Tuesday, September the 10th, 2019. 41 days to go until the next general election. And we have with us Miss Ruby Sahota. Ruby, welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me on. Hello to both of you.
Thank you so much. So you are the current member of Parliament for Brampton North. Yes. Was elected back in 2015 and is now in your final year. For those who don't know you, Ruby, can you just kind of reintroduce yourself to our audience, our visitors, a little bit about your background, what you did before politics, before becoming a member of Parliament. Just tell us again who you are.
I'm a Brampton resident.
Okay.
I've grown up in Brampton my whole life, from elementary school onwards. I was a very outgoing young Bramptonian and developed an interest in politics pretty young. Joined student body and all of that, studied politics at McMaster, political science, and then I moved on to do law school. After that I practiced as a lawyer for about 6 years and became a mom. Started raising my own family in Brampton and decided that I was going to start following my true passion and give it a try. And so in 2015, I ran for the first time, and I was fortunate enough to have been voted in by the good people of Brampton North. And the last 4 years, I've been the Member of Parliament.
Oh, awesome. So actually the same question I asked your counterpart when he was here a few weeks ago, because he's also in the law profession. As a lawyer, Len, you could make a lucrative living, some decent funds, Why not stay in private practice, do law, make some good money? Why the headache of politics?
Well, I did love the practice of law, and I might one day go back to that.
Okay.
But my passion that really led me to law was to advocate for people, and there's lots of ways you can advocate for people.
Okay.
Because I also had a love of government and politics, I wanted to try to see if going down this avenue, I was able to make a difference. And I think that desire inside of me to give it a shot was really calling out, and I felt that I needed to give it a try and try to represent Bramptonians to the best of my ability. And well, the rest is history, right? But I think when you have that desire in you, everyone out there that has some kind of a passion, they should always try and jump in. And because without that, I think you'll never know what could be.
So let's jump into the road. You have been it now, wrapping up 4 years. First of all, what is one thing that has really surprised you about the role? That you look at it, you weren't really expecting this, but something that you find was as a surprise in the role.
Well, I don't think the time commitment came as any surprise to me. It is a very it's a job that involves a big time commitment, 7 days a week, but that may come as a surprise to your viewers.
Okay.
So I think that is surprising for people to know. We also travel a lot. We spend half our year basically, when you look at the numbers, up in Ottawa, and half our year in our riding in Brampton. And it does become challenging when you have family and friends that rely on your support as well, and for you to be around. So I think how much I was going to miss the whole opportunity to be there day after day for my son. That does come to us as a surprise a little bit, because at the same time I'm following my passion, right? And that gives me so much joy. But you want to be the best at everything, and so I'm trying my best to be the best representative I can be, and the best mother I can be at the same time. And I would say it's not so much of a surprise, but it's one of my challenges.
Okay. And the most rewarding thing about the role so far for you?
The rewarding thing is whenever I can make a difference for somebody, right? Seeing someone's face who has had a difficult time trying to navigate different government services or systems, and finally is able to speak to somebody who is listening and is compassionate. That's when I feel that I've been well served. Like just this morning when I was in my constituency office, I was talking to a couple who has been going through a difficult time, and the response that I got from them was quite interesting, because I was trying to tell them that I was going to do my best to help them. And they told me, well, you already have, you're the first person who's sat here and listened to us and been compassionate and had empathy. And that alone is something we haven't received as we've been going through our struggles for the last few years. So that is rewarding to me.
Another thing, Ruby, is that, one of the things that we hear for Brampton, we always hear the criticism, your primary role being elected is to be a member of parliament. But we always hear that Brampton, for example, don't have a voice at the cabinet table. We don't have, we had 5 Liberal MPs in Brampton, and there were questions about, at what level our voices are being heard. What other roles were you able to serve in during your first term? How were you able to create impact? Were you on any of the other committees? What were some of the other responsibilities and some of the other areas you're able to contribute as you're within this first term?
So I think sometimes we place too much emphasis on being in cabinet or having these different roles up in Ottawa. The most important role is serving as a member of parliament. Truly it is. And I think even cabinet ministers sometimes end up having to sacrifice being able to listen to their constituents attentively, being able to give enough time to their actual riding, because they've got a whole country to worry about, right? So I think the number one most important job is really to serve your constituents and your riding. But I've served on many different committees. I've served
What were some of those?
Procedure and House Affairs, which might not be as exciting to your general viewers, but it's definitely one of the most prestigious committees up in Parliament, because it is the committee that presides over all other committees, and it involves election laws and rules and modernization of the Election Act, which we did recently, but also the procedure of the House. Public safety is one that I think you'd be mostly concerned about, because it's been coming up a lot in Brampton. So currently I'm on that committee, but I've sat on status of women, I've sat on electoral reform as well.
Okay, awesome. So you mentioned, for example, the your role on one of these committees, for example, looking at electoral issues and procedures, one of the promises that your government had made before it take office was that of electoral reform.
Yes.
You know, it's one of the promises that were not met. So as you go back to the people of Brampton North, as you talk to Canadians on a larger scale, what do you say to them, those who had elected your government on the promise of delivering that reform of our electoral system? What do you say to them as you go back?
I think we took the issue very seriously. I know myself, I went into the issue with an open mind. We studied it, heard from the world's most renowned experts on the issue. We heard from other countries that have gone towards a PR system. We traveled to make sure that no region was unheard, and a lot of large regions in our country, which we have a very large country, and the system that would be created for Canada would have to be a unique one because of the size of our geographical size of our country. And after hearing from everyone, you know, we had a very big report. I would love to talk about this topic in depth, but it really is a very deep topic, and we should definitely maybe have a show on it to educate people about the different options. But at the end of the day, all options have their benefits and they have their drawbacks. And that's the thing. And I think a lot of Canadians also really value that local touch that members of Parliament have, that local connection and accountability. And so at the end of the day, we felt that our country was not ready to move on the issue because there was a very small population that was interested in advocating for it, and we haven't yet heard from everybody. So,
in hindsight, should it had not been an election promise? Because I think so much people, particularly younger folks, gravitated towards the party on this promise. So, I mean, in hindsight, you know, should they have been a bit more time or more be a bit more careful in including it as a campaign promise?
I think we have to bring the whole country along when we change something as serious as our voting system, and we need everyone on board. And I think that's really important, and that's when we see big divides in our country, when we don't take the right proper time to educate our population and make sure most people at least are on board with the process. So I think that's what we discovered through the process, that not enough people have been able to make a decision. And the referendums that have happened in different provinces of our country, they have resulted in a no at this point. So we just felt Canada wasn't ready. But there are some changes that have been made. The Election Modernization Act has taken some steps in the right direction to be able to change our election laws.
Okay. When we come back from the break, we get a lot into some of the accomplishments and your reasons for wanting a second term as Member of Parliament for Brampton North. Stay with us. This is On Point. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
So many newspapers within the community, it's sometimes hard to tell what separates us from the rest. Most of the time, they all brag about the same thing. You know, the large circulations, tons of online views, and it can go on and on. But what really separates the Toronto Caribbean newspaper apart from everybody else? Well, it's simple. Our service. No, seriously. Hi, I'm Grant Browning, founder and CEO of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I have over 20 years of branding and marketing experience, and I've worked with countless companies and corporations to do one thing, and that is to raise their profits with their brand. With over 40 years of combined experience in branding and marketing, our amazing staff is fully prepared to sit down and figure out exactly what you need to stand out from your competitors.
The reason why you don't see that anymore is because
The ad is too powerful, bring too much people.
So what are you waiting for? Give us a call today. We'll be happy to help.
Welcome back to On Point, your #1 political and current affairs talk show program, broadcasting live from here in the beautiful city of Brampton. We are focusing on the 43rd general election set for October 21st. And information reaching us, Len Carby, is that this announcement for an election could come as early as tomorrow.
Yes, this is probably one of the worst kept secrets because I think everyone knows that the election is going to be October 21st.
Okay.
But nonetheless, it's a formal process that must happen, so he must make the announcement. And hopefully out of that, he'll take the opportunity to share some more around why it is that we should elect the government for another term.
All right, good. We have with us Miss Ruby Sahota. She is the Liberal candidate dressed in red, seeking to continue as Member of Parliament in Brampton North. Now, Ruby, I put this to you. One of the persons who is challenging you was on our program recently, and one of the things that person said was, where has the Member of Parliament been in the last 4 years? Brampton does not need a part-time MP. Brampton needs a full-time public servant. The last 4 years, Ruby, where have you been? What have you done?
That's a great preface to that question, because I did hear about that comment, and I'm astonished really at that comment, because I know that I have been working tirelessly for the people of Brampton North for the last 4 years, and I have no regrets. I have spent every moment thinking about how I can be an effective advocate, how I can communicate our priorities up in Ottawa. I think people on the ground will know best that I have been at their backyard barbecues, at their events, at all the important occasions to be able to connect with people and understand what they're thinking. I've been at every opportunity, every interview, every debate I've ever been called
Let's get into some tangibles. So what are some of the things you were able to deliver for Brampton as Member of Parliament through your government, deliver for Brampton North? What are some of those things that you were able to deliver?
Yeah. So I'm very proud to say that any project we've been delivered from, have been given from the municipality, we've delivered on.
Likewise.
So whether it was the Riverwalk project at the stage that they're at now, we were able to give them funding. Another example would be the Cybersecurity Center. We had the Conservative provincial government pull out of a university that was in conjunction with Ryerson, and I think we've all heard, those that are active in Brampton politics, that the intention of this university, or their main focus, was going to be cybersecurity degrees. And so we went to the drawing board with Ryerson and other companies as to how we can still bring an investment to our city if the university is no longer going to be coming. So what we've been able to brainstorm is, because we can't, and some of your viewers might not know, the federal government cannot step in and actually announce a university. It has to be announced by the provincial government. So what we did is we said, okay, well, how can we still respect education and the opportunities that something like this brings to Bramptonians? So the Cybersecurity Center, or Catalyst as they call it, is what we were able to deliver on. That's in conjunction with RBC, with Rogers, Ryerson, and the federal government. This is going to create over 790 jobs in our city. And these are high-paying jobs. So that's an important delivery. On transit, we've delivered. Transit, we were able to deliver 22 buses earlier in our mandate, and update certain facilities, be able to run more lines in our city. We've been able to deliver at the go, and we've been able to deliver electric buses, but I could go on.
Let's talk about the electric buses for a while. I think we have a clip there, a video there, not a video, a post where you had $11 million that was announced for the electric buses. One of the things that your opponents and others point to is that, for example, under previous Conservative government, for the same Zoom, when Zoom was about to come out, they delivered, was it $94 million. So they are talking about the fair deal for Brampton, and they're saying, even though Brampton gets some stuff, it's just not a fair amount for Brampton. One of the things as well that your opponent said when he was here was that we should expect a lot of announcements and a lot of shiny candies that are coming at this time. So that $11 million was just announced a month or so ago.
You want me to tell you why?
Are we getting some election goodies, or are we getting tangible results for Brampton?
I'll tell you why that happened and why the timing fell where it fell, because this promise was supposed to come a year ago, and it was in partnership with the provincial government, because as infrastructure and transit generally goes, we all have an equal responsibility to take up put our share in. And so the provincial government had backed out on this project a year ago. And so the project was basically put on hold. We were still committing to our portion, but Q-Trix, the company involved, and the Brampton Transit had come to us to say they were so disappointed in the provincial government for backing out on this project because it really messed up their future plans for the transit of the city. And that Brampton was going to lose out on a contract that they had bid on and lose out in the long run. So we had to fill that void. We had to come back to the table, fill the gap of the provincial government and cover our portion in order to deliver this project. And that's why you saw the timing fall when it fell. And if you talk to Q-Trix, I was very surprised to hear the money all flew within a week. The money was in their hands, and so this is not something that's a promise yet to come.
But the money has come. All right, fine. Two quick things. We have a few minutes left to go. One, why do you want to be reelected? Why should the people of Brampton North give you a second term? What do you plan to accomplish that wasn't done in the first term?
We want to keep moving forward on our plan, right? And our plan was to build growth for our economy, was to make sure that we served the middle class. We made sure that those below it had opportunities to get into the middle class, and we have accomplished a lot when it comes to that. Over 825,000 people, Canadians, have been lifted out of poverty, and I think that is one of our biggest accomplishments. Unemployment's at an all-time 40-year low. Jobs are record-breaking numbers. Over 1 million jobs have been created since November 2015. And just this last month, we saw the job numbers at 81,000 jobs just in August alone. And those are phenomenal numbers. We want to keep continuing on that growth. We want to continue delivering, and we want to make investments that are going to make our youth's futures brighter. And I think that what we're getting a little taste of provincially is when I speak to my constituents, what they're really worried about is that's what they're going to see at the federal level. And we've recently just seen Andrew Scheer reveal that, cuts are in the forecast, but they'll need to figure out how to package them.
Let's look at that very quickly. We have a few minutes to go. Your government had promised to balance the book by 2019. We are now in 2019. The books were not balanced. The parliamentary budget officer is saying to us we have years of this deficit to come. How do you reconcile that deficit with the need to, which our grandkids and future kids will pay for? How do you reconcile as you talk to voters in Brampton North?
Well, when I talk to voters in Brampton North, what they care about, and especially our children, what they care about is the environment. They care about having opportunities when they get out of school. They care about having a job. And the way I reconcile it is by letting people know that our debt to GDP ratio is decreasing. And so when we are bringing in revenue at a higher level, it is a fiscally responsible way to act, to continue to invest, as long as that ratio continues to decrease. And we're seeing that right now. We're seeing unprecedented growth. And our situation, our fiscal situation right now, is better than our G7 countries, right? So we're in a better position, and we need to continue on that path. And I think that's what my constituents care about. They want policies that affect them, and that are going to affect their children, and they want to see those things delivered. All
right, I'll follow up you on that, but we're running out of time, so let me get to another thing. I asked your other opponent this. One quick one. Do you believe in climate change? And for you, is the carbon tax the best way to counter the effects of climate change, or to get us to reduce our emissions?
Yeah, it's not about what I think, it's about what our scientists, our experts tell us. And our scientists, not only in Canada, but Nobel Prize winning scientists around the world are telling us that this is the most effective way to bring down emissions and the quickest way. Because when pollution is free, people continue to do it. When pollution costs money, people will think twice, and people will figure out ways. Corporations and companies will have to adapt and figure out green solutions. And we've also not just done that, we've done so many other things, right? We've made investments in green tech, in companies that have a plan, that are upgrading and making sure their emissions come down. We're investing in those people, and even the projects that the city is bringing forward. They know that this is the future. They have their own targets to meet, and so do provinces, and so do most responsible corporations. So we're really all in it together.
Yeah. We have another chance to touch on many things. Housing in Brampton, that's a big concern for young people, particularly in Brampton. We have one of the youngest populations, one of the youngest cities in the country. Housing is out of the reach of many young people. How have you delivered on housing? How do you plan to deliver if re-elected on housing? We're out of time, but we'll give you an extra minute just to wrap that up.
Yeah, well, we've had the largest investment when it comes to the housing strategy. We have put up money for affordable housing units just right outside of my riding in Brampton North. I'm quite proud of that. But we also have a home buyer's incentive for young people to get into their new homes. So, there's a lot more to come. We're going to continue working on affordability issues, and we're going to continue making sure that at the same time we're creating growth.
We'll give you the last minute again, Rudy, as we ask our producer to give us an extra minute. Talk to the people of Brampton North. They are watching you on camera too there. Why should they give you a second term as their Member of Parliament in Brampton North?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you for the time that you have allowed me to serve the people of Brampton North. And for that, I will ever be grateful. Whether I have another opportunity or not, that will always have a fond place in my heart. But I know that talking to the people of Brampton North, I know that you're looking for investments in your future. I know that you're looking for a healthier future. And so we're going to continue to try to deliver on that for you. If you go to the polls on October 21st. I hope you will choose to move forward and not backwards in time. So hopefully you will choose a Liberal government, and I will be able to serve you again for the next 4 years.
Finally, how can they reach you? How can they contact you?
You can come by my campaign office. It's at North Park in Dixie. You can give me a call. My number is 647-973-7829. But you can also, if you have something to do from the parliamentary level, I'm still your member of parliament, so my doors are always open to you, and my office is at 50 Sunny Meadow Boulevard, and you're always free to contact me there as well.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time for this segment. That is the current Member of Parliament for Brampton North and the current Liberal candidate who is seeking a second term as a Member of Parliament. Stay with us. On Point continues. Ruby, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Thank you, Len.
Thank you.
My name is Trish Curling, and I am an online coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher, and your new host of Shaping Life, which is all about understanding that we have the ability and the control to take charge of our health and wellness. But we can't do it alone, and I can't wait to sit down with the best in the industry. Please tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. live here on the TCN Network.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
With so many newspapers within the community, it's sometimes hard to tell what separates us from the rest. Most of the time, they all brag about the same thing. The large circulations, tons of online views, and it can go on and on. But what really separates the Toronto Caribbean newspaper apart from everybody else? Well, it's simple. Our service. No, seriously. Hi, I'm Grant Browning, founder and CEO of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I have over 20 years of branding and marketing experience, and I've worked with countless companies and corporations to do one thing, and that is to raise their profits with their brand. With over 40 years of combined experience in branding and marketing, our amazing staff is fully prepared to sit down and figure out exactly what you need to stand out from your competitors.
The reason why you don't see that anymore is because
The ad is too powerful, bring too much people.
So what are you waiting for? Give us a call today. We'll be happy to help.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Welcome back to On Point, your political and current affairs talk show program. We are broadcasting to you live from the studios of TCN Network here in the beautiful city of Brampton. So we have covered a few issues this evening. We just finished talking to Member of Parliament Ruby Sahota, who is also seeking re-election in Brampton North. Let's start off with you. Your takeaways from our chat with Ruby. I mean, has she delivered for the people of Brampton in the last 4 years?
Well, I want to speak more specifically around her presentation today. She was quite articulate, very knowledgeable on her issues. And again, she's representing a party and what that party platform is. She pointed to some specific things around Brampton itself, but I think at a federal level, we have to look at the overall picture of all that has been delivered for Canadians. And I think that's where she was able to, in my mind, articulate quite well the issues that she was able to champion. She's also part of the MP Black Caucus, interestingly enough, because one of the things I think we forget is that so many Black Canadians live in Brampton, and so with that large representation, she has taken a role in the MP Black Caucus and have championed some things on behalf of our Black community, whether it is the $10 million for mental health, the $45 million for the anti-racism secretariat, the $25 million. So there's lots of funding.
Tina, he's championing some things there for her that she didn't talk about.
I'm championing my community. As you know, I've been involved in community for a long time.
But Tina, let's get your impression, Tina, of the conversation with her.
She's a very good candidate for the Liberals. I'm not going to take that away from her. She's very articulate. I think if I have to look at any of them, if anyone did anything in the last 4 years, she did.
Okay.
So, but the party, I wish we could steal her and put her in another party. So no, to come back on it, the party itself has issues, and the carbon taxes, the taxes. I mean, it is a fortune to live in Canada, to pay taxes in Canada. I don't think we get as much for the amount of taxes we pay for. I think the Liberals really need to look at things, and they say they're for the middle class people, but the middle class people are literally paying their wages away in taxes, so they need to make some adjustments there. Business owners, I mean, we're paying so much tax, it's incredible.
Yep. So,
Len,
we run out of time to really talk with her, and I want to say as well to other candidates who might be watching, we spent 2 segments of the show with Ms. Sahota. We are not normally would spend 2 segments with each candidate. However, when Mr. Khanna was here, one of our guests did not cancel at the very last minute and did not show up, and therefore we spent 2 segments with Mr. Khanna. We thought it would have been a bit fairer to at least give Mr. Sahota 2 segments as well. But we're not going to be able to do the same thing for all the candidates because at the time when we agreed to give her the 2 segments, there were only 2 candidates in Brampton North. I think right now there are about 4 candidates in Brampton North. Yes. So we can't spend all the time. Len Carby, one of the differences between what she presented and what her Mr. Khanna, her challenger, presented is the clear difference in their approach to dealing with climate change. Both believe climate change is a real issue. Both believe you have to talk about or to deal with it, but both have different approaches. The carbon tax, the parliamentary budget officer, for example, is saying that in the year 23-24 we will see significant increases in the cost of in carbon tax, the cost of household. And he said in his report that households will largely bear the cost of the pricing system through their consumption of energy used for residential and transportation purposes. right? And carbon charges embodies in non-energy products. So, you know, while it is that, you know, they prefer to use the word put a price on carbon, basically you're putting a heavy cost on carbon and hoping that, you know, the cost, for example, to drive your car would be so significant that you would choose to jump on the transit instead. You know, but heating your home is not a matter of a choice, it's not a luxury. This is something that is necessary and important for you to do. So, you know, what's the challenge for her there in selling that message to Brampton North and to the rest of, and by extension, the Liberal Party to Canadians? I
think that's the question to Canadians in general. Not just Brampton North that will, you know, deal with this particular issue. And I think the question of, you know, caring for environment is clearly high on the agenda of both parties. I think there are clearly differences in the approach to what they will do. But most countries that I have seen have attached some consequence, some price to carbon in order to change behavior. And I think that that's the approach that the Liberal government is taking by putting some consequence to it, some premium. We've seen that in California, one of the biggest states in the U.S., that has been able to change their carbon footprint by making it expensive to not do that, right? So you might not necessarily agree with the strategy, but clearly it's important enough, especially for our younger people, because they have not, they continue to actually raise this issue as one of the more important things to them moving forward. And it's about their future.
Yeah, the Conservatives say that they will make greater investments in green technology as a way of reducing our carbon footprint. Is that another, how do you compare that approach to making things much more costly in order to force people to change their behavior?
It's such a much smarter solution because, like, if you look at the Liberal government for the last 4 years, I mean, they are part of the larger offenders. Like, Canada is one of the biggest carbon offenders out there. And, you know, there was a big conversation on the radio about this, saying that, you know, Canada wants to tell, for example, Brazil that you can't be burning the green Amazon. But can Brazil turn around and change and tell us that we can't have the oil fields, the sand fields? And the Liberals, I mean, have done a lot to promote that. And, you know, during election time, a lot of things get approved. And so, to me, I'm like, I think what they're doing is they're making us, the taxpayers, pay for their ways. So it's an easy, fast solution that doesn't work for everybody. So you can't turn around and take money from your people who are already paying so much in tax to say, oh, you got to fix our solution with carbon. And, you know, necessarily the way they're doing it is not going to be, I don't think it's the future solution. Now, the way the Conservatives are looking at it is, let's find the true solution. Like, how do we fix these things? How do we help companies, businesses become, you know, green and more innovative on the green side? And that makes sense. So if you can go down that route without punishing your everyday people, that would make more sense to me.
You know, let's look at that thing, another thing that she talked about there, Len. You know, just we have we still have a few, election will be announced tomorrow. Some parties still have a few available seats. You know, persons out there considering the possibility of running for an election. She talked about the time commitment. You know, what should and being available. You know, so you know, her opponent was saying that, boy, you know, you need a full-time public servant. She's saying she's here, there, and everywhere. You know, how demanding is the job of a member of parliament?
Well, only she can speak to that. Only someone who has actually been in that role can speak to that. And I certainly have never been an MP. But I can imagine accessibility and availability to your constituent is important. And if the records show that she is accessible and available to her constituents, then I think where would be the criticism of, you know, that says otherwise.
One of the things that we saw today, Tina, is that both are giving out their cell phone numbers because both want to be the most accessible. How important is that?
I was amazed, actually. I have to be honest. I was amazed. Both of them just told everybody their phone number on live TV. I was like, whoa, they just give their phone numbers out. But it's good.
Cell phone is your main contact these days, right?
I'm going to assume they carry 2 or 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And that number is the number someone
else. That's not the real one, the work one. You know, we're about to run out of time. I want to leave on a light note. There's a clip of the finance minister. There's a photo rather of the finance minister that's been making the rounds on social media. If we could find it, the finance minister, as we know, is a multi-Canadian millionaire. Some have made some good funds. This picture was put up by Bill Marno in his riding of Toronto Centre, and he was being criticized for showing up as the guy with the well tailored suit and the cufflinks and right here. But let's see what happened 9 days later after criticism started coming in Toronto Centre. Let's go to the next picture. We'll see what happened there, and Len, you'll give us a quick. No, that one. Well, basically what happened is that he eventually covered the photo. The photo itself got covered up. I was no longer there. Yes. Is there a need to appear poorer than you are to become
Like you said, we're going to end on a lighter note. Yes. That's one of the fun moments in politics where sometimes, political pressure and the feedback from your community, if nothing else, it says he's listening and he's hearing.
Tina, you have to be a poorer guy to run. I mean, you can't show
I disagree with that. To me, if you've self-made, you should be proud of it. It's hard to make it. And you know what? Canada is the land of opportunity. But if you're running and you show that, I don't know. I hope your neighborhood is a good neighborhood.
Ladies and gentlemen, 41 days to go to the next general election. Some serious issues that are taking place. We invite you to get involved, like the plan to go out and vote. Tomorrow, we should be hearing an announcement from the Prime Minister as to when exactly are we going to the polls. It should be October 21st.
Yes.
Well, we're listening to see if he will make any changes, and we doubt he will. Yes. But thanks for joining us. Come back again next Tuesday when we will bring you some updates from the 43rd general election. This has been On Point. Len Carby, Tina Larson, thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining.